Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Avery, and today's video I'm going to be budgeting for the month of November and talking about my new simplified budget that I've come up with. I make videos all about personal finance and budgeting, so if you're interested in that, you can subscribe, you can stick around, you can like the video, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so today I want to talk about why I've decided to simplify my budget. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you would know that I have a tendency for a lot of different categories, and it was just honestly becoming a bit unwieldy. I've had a lot of different expenses, somewhat unexpected this year, and I basically was just at a point where I was constantly moving money from one sinking fund to another sinking fund, or one category to another category, just to cover expenses, when ultimately I could really consolidate a lot of them, combine a bunch of them, and come up with a more simplified way of doing things. So that's basically reason number one of why I've decided to simplify the budget. Another reason is, well, this isn't really a reason, but something a few of you guys picked up on my last video, which, sorry, I didn't know it's already been a month since I last posted. Like, I don't know. The whole year, I feel like, has gone away from me, but some of you guys suggested that this would probably be a good idea for me, and I had been thinking about it for a while, so I appreciate I appreciate the suggestions with that, because I had been thinking about it for a while, but I kept thinking to myself, I'm gonna start this in 2026, but ultimately, like, you don't need to wait until the first of the year to do something, especially if it's trying to better your finances and your spending habits. So if you've been thinking about making a change in your budget, whatever that may be, go ahead and do it now. Just start 2026 early. Just get going, like, whatever. Yeah, so I wanted to reduce overwhelm. I was very overwhelmed this year, and I didn't need money to overwhelm me more, because then I was ignoring my finances, which then would stress me out more. So yeah, we're trying to simplify. So basically what I did is I looked at my spending and found where I could consolidate. I also combined many of my sinking funds, which we'll go over. For example, I combined all of my medical categories like into just one big medical stuff category. I have a lot of different medical expenses that I gotta deal with because I have a lot of different medical issues. But did I really care if I spent $20 in prescriptions versus $100 in a copay, or $50 on supplies versus... No, I didn't care about any of that. I just needed to make sure I was setting aside a good amount to cover all of those things each month, which hopefully this new budget's working for that. Another big important thing with my new simplified budget, and this is something that some of you guys... talking to myself here, but if this resonates, some of us might need to consider reducing what we're putting towards our financial goals. Always kind of been into saving. I've always kind of been into finances. Always kind of been ambitious in that regard. Since, growing up, getting older, getting bigger, I feel like my ambitions are outpacing my reality. So for that, I needed to really be honest with myself. And again, this is some suggestions I got on my last video, so thank you, is to just go ahead and make a set amount each month for my financial goals and just stick to that. And then the rest of the money can be spent how I see fit. The way that is better is because essentially what I was doing was trying to find, I'm going to put as much money as possible towards my student loans or as much money towards my emergency fund. But that was just putting this level of restriction on me that wasn't helping me when it's already been a very overwhelming year. I actually have discovered that I'm the type of person that needs to... I feel like there's two types of financial goal setters, or just goal setters in general. There are people who prefer to shoot for the stars and come up with a goal that's really ambitious and that might be a stretch to reach, but that really motivates them. Not me. Not me. I need a goal that I can bunny hop over. You know what I mean? I need a goal that I can step over, that I can easily do the limbo under. I need a goal that works and makes sense with my financial situation, and not just trying to do... And I need defined goals too, is actually is my whole point about all this, is I need defined easy goals, and then anything after that, it's like a bonus win on top of the win of just meeting the goal each month. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, we're gonna see that as well. We're gonna actually be a little more realistic, and if it extends the timeline, it is what it is. In order to maintain my momentum, and what motivates me is I need goals that I can actually reach. You see what I'm saying? Going on with that, I think I just needed to level with myself a bit. I'm 27 and I live in Ohio, and I make $62,000 a year, which, to be honest, I think is a pretty good income for my circumstances in life, which I don't have to get into all that. That being said, it's not like some huge income. It's a very realistic average sort of amount of money that many people make. Some people make less, some people make more. I feel like in personal finance, especially in YouTube and like social media, you just hear a lot about people who are making a ton of money, and it's hard to not get in this like level of comparison with that. So I'm trying to back off of the comparison, which I think is another reason why I've struggled to post lately, because I just kind of feel like I'm down in the dumps, like whatever. What my point is since I make a very average income for this life, it's not gonna work to just have like tens of thousands of dollars go to certain things. Or I might be able to put a lot of money towards one financial goal, say like my Roth IRA, but I'm not going to be able to do a lot towards many different goals. You see what I'm saying? I feel like life in general has gotten more expensive over the years. Some of it intentional, some of it just inflation, and all of that kind of just adds together after a while to the point where, again, I just need to have realistic spending goals, savings goals, income goals, and then that'll end up making me do better with my finances overall, because I won't constantly be in this state of like boom and bust cycles. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's my reasoning for simplifying my budget. Okay, now I want to talk about what this actual budget is and how many categories I have now. I have up for you on the lovely screen a beautiful Notes app screenshot where I wrote down my new budget, and then after we talk about why I chose these amounts a little bit, we'll get into actually budgeting for the month of November with my last two paychecks of October. So yeah, for starters, after taxes and deductions and a pension contribution, I bring home $3,450 per month on average. So I get paid bi-weekly. So 2 months of the year, I do get an extra paycheck. However, for the purposes of budgeting, those are kind of just being considered extra in my mind, and I'm budgeting based off of a typical 2 paycheck month. So $3,450 there. From the top, I have $1,000 that goes towards rent and utilities. This amount is pretty simple and there's no change from what it was previously. So I pay rent. I live in a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, and this also includes an average for utilities, parking, and internet. So all of that combines together, and my half of the rent is $1,000 a month. Then I have my phone bill. I use Mint Mobile. So with Mint Mobile, I pay for it on a yearly basis. So I've set up a sinking fund in my budget to put $35 each month into this category. That way, when it renews in January, I should have all the money I need set aside. Then we get into my 2 car categories. I decided to leave car insurance as its own category at $75 a month. I pay this twice a year, so it is a sinking fund, and then I pay out of it every 6 months. And I think this just works for me. I've had no issues with doing it like this, so I decided to keep it separate from my auto stuff category. Very scientific name here. And auto stuff is basically just me combining together categories like gas, parking, auto maintenance, tires, things like that. I just went and looked at like my previous spending in those categories and then bumped it up a little bit when I combined it all together. So at $175 a month. I think another thing about this budget is my goal with it is to be consistent with funding these categories. That way it truly builds up over time like a sinking fund is supposed to, in more of a long-term sort of way. I guess like for phone and car insurance, it's more bills based with a specific deadlines or dates that those come out. But with things like auto stuff, that's more of like a rotating or revolving fund, and with the idea that over time I'll build up money in this category. That way, when I have my yearly service, for example, or just every couple years, if there's something that goes wrong, I have enough money in this category for this. Which kind of brings me into the next one, which is a bit of a juggernaut category. It's my medical expenses. I have combined together categories like prescriptions, medical supplies, medical bills, and I think there might have been one other one. I've combined these all together, and I've also increased this significantly. This kind of goes back to just being more realistic with myself and like what does my money need to do for me, and what are my long-term goals with this money. And for medical stuff, I really need to just stack some Benjamins in this category. I kind of have some things that might be happening in 2026 that will cost money. And then I have bills that I'm paying off for medical bills. Then I just spent like $100 on medical supplies. So every few months I have a pretty big, every 3 to 6 months, I have to buy a pretty big medical supply order. And it all just kind of adds up. So I think previously I'd kind of been just kind of like waddling. I don't know why I want to say waddling around. I was kind of waddling around in the $200, $250 range. And that ultimately just isn't enough money for what I need to do and what I want. I really want to get to a point where I basically have my out-of-pocket max more or less saved. Obviously that can change over time and it may not be 100% perfect, but with almost $500 going into this category, I've set it at $445. I think we have a better chance of building this up over time as opposed to previously. So there's that. I kind of shifted my thinking with these a little more, instead of what is happening this month to what is like the life cycle of this category. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes at the beginning of the month, I was so used to just moving money around that I'd be like, well, do I have any like prescriptions coming out this month? Or do I know if any medical expenses might pop up? And if the answer was no, I just wasn't fully funding the category, and that's not going to work. Moving on to a financial goal, I have it listed here as $540 going into my Roth IRA. So one of my 2025 goals, kind of my main 2025 goal, was to max out my Roth IRA through dollar cost averaging. So basically each paycheck putting in whatever amount I needed to get to $7,000 by the end of the year. And I really want to reach that goal and finish it. We're so close. November's here. We are almost in the home stretch. That being said, back to being realistic with myself. While it's been great to see the value of this account go up over time as I was putting in over $500 each month. It's just probably, I already listed here that I'm going to reduce this in 2026. I don't know exactly to what amount yet, but I think I'm going to switch things up a bit just because it's just I need to have a bit more buffer and I need to get my emergency fund up in 2026 especially. But yes, it's $540 into my Roth IRA. This technically is a little off because I'm actually doing like $270 a paycheck. So I just had October as a three paycheck month. You know what I'm saying? It's more or less $540 a month. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with that. I want to max out I want to hit my 2025 goal, but I already have plans to reduce this in 2026. So if you're looking at this and being like, not sure she's building in enough buffer, it's gonna come together. In 2026, it's gonna be my year. Okay, here's a big change for me. Is the next category. I consolidated a bunch of different things, and I ultimately landed on $300 is spending money. This can cover basically whatever I want it to cover and what I need it to cover. So if I'm going on a trip or whatever, I can take money from this category. If I am getting my hair done, take money from this category. If I'm buying a book, take money from this category. I gotta buy a gift card tomorrow. Guess what? It's gonna come from this category. So this is just an overarching category that can be used how I see fit and what I want to do with it, you know? The whole point around that kind of goes back to some comments I got talking about like stop stressing yourself out when you're trying to spend money on just some basic item. Like, I don't know, like a croissant or something. If I want a croissant, just buy the croissant. Just chill out, just relax. What's the problem? It's not the end of the world. Within reason, of course. So I have really been I've been enjoying this category for the month of October. I guess I didn't mention that, but I implemented this budget. I trial run this budget for October. There have been a little bit of growing pains, or just pains, I guess. But in general, I think it's working well so far, and I hopefully, as I keep doing this, it'll be better. And then $150 a month will go towards subscriptions. This is like a bunch of different things. Kind of sucks. Not really sucks. Here's another thing I've been trying to do is not have like, shame isn't really the right word, but to just kind of feel neutral about things. Like, I have to sometimes just sit with myself and tell myself, like, we're not in credit card debt. We've built up a good nest egg in like retirement and investing. We're paying all of our bills on time. Blah, 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 blah. You know, like affirmations basically. That way I don't. My point is, I think my whole point with this is, I know like $150 a month might sound like a lot to people for subscriptions, but I kind of just threw any sort of recurring charge in this category. So there's things like both on an annual and a monthly basis, which annual is still a subscription. Some things I put in this category is Kindle Unlimited, Canva Pro, Spotify, WNBA League Pass, things like that, which are like $10, $12 a month. I also currently have, this accounts for renter's insurance each year, but it could probably just go lumped under rent without a problem. But I only pay that once a year, so I kind of just averaged that into the category. So I guess that could be bringing up the total a bit. But this just covers subscriptions, Apple Care. It's pretty straightforward, to be honest. Okay, the next category is the bane of my existence, but we're trying to get it together again for the final time, and it's food and groceries. I actually don't care where, like, I was sitting around thinking about this, and I was like, I don't care if I spend $100 on groceries and $300 on dining out, $50 on coffee, or like if I spend $50 on coffee, $200 on groceries, whatever amount on dining out. Like, I actually don't care where I'm spending the money. I just gotta eat, you know? I don't care. I don't like really drink alcohol. Also, I wouldn't really, because some people I've seen, they have like alcohol categories. I just don't be doing that in such a, I don't do it enough to justify its own category. Also, personally, I'd put that in like fun and spending anyways. But I think sometimes people get very granular with their food expenses, which can be helpful. Like, don't get me wrong, if you have, but it's okay, like, if you don't care about it and you just want everything to fall under food. So $400 towards food every month. And then back to my realistic savings goals is I want to do $100 into my emergency fund, just kind of build it up over time. And then $230 a month into my student loans. The reasoning behind this student loan amount is I think if I was on a standard repayment plan, I'm still in like save plan forbearance. It's accruing interest now, and I've been making payments towards it. As far as like a payment obligation or payment due each month, there isn't one. I don't know what it'll be. All I know is that I'm pretty sure if they threw me back on a standard repayment, whenever that may be, it would probably be about $230 a month. So putting this much money towards it's realistic. It makes sense. And that's where we're at with things. I will say my dog's expenses aren't on here, and we'll kind of get into that more in the actual budgeting part. But I'll just tell you, it's because Nathan, my fiance, he has been covering the expenses for our dog. So he just sends me money, and I didn't make any changes to that category. So this is kind of just like, where is my money going and what am I doing with it? And yeah, that's what my new simplified budget categories are. So this brings me to, I think, the final part of the video, which is actually budgeting my money out for the month of November. I use the budgeting software YNAB, so if you want to try it out, I've been using it for like 4 years now. I'll leave a link down below. If you subscribe using my link, you get 34 days free. Then if you subscribe using my link, you get an additional month free, and then I also get a month free. So thanks for subscribing if you've done that before in the past. But anyways, today I've normally budgeted by paycheck, but since I'm kind of behind, my last 2 paychecks for the month of October have just been sitting here waiting for me to finally get around to them. And I try to budget a month in advance, essentially. So with the money I get in October, cover November's expenses, so on and so forth. But this is why I have $3,702.79. All of this, except $250 of it, comes from my paychecks, like we just discussed. And then $250 of this has come from Nathan, and it's used towards the dogs. Or the dog. A couple of things I need to do. Okay, very first thing I want to do is cover this overspending for my Roth IRA. I'm going to put in the $270. And then I'm going to view all. I'm still in October because the Roth IRA is a real-time withdrawal, if that makes sense. So that's why that happened there. And since it's a 3 paycheck month, I'm going to put the other $270 in for that. That way it comes out, although it doesn't matter. It's going to roll over into November. All right, so moving on to November, I have $3,162 remaining. You'll kind of see I did this 2 different ways. I did set up, I guess on most of the categories, I did set up my monthly target for it, so how much I needed. But I also just put it in the category title. That way, like, if I want to, I've been enjoying it like this. This is a little... It can get a little overwhelming to look at. I kind of like it just like this. I think progress bars also make more sense if you're doing like weekly category targets. But since I do all my category targets monthly, I kind of like just having it the amount here, and that just instantly reminds me what I need to do. So just... now I said all that, but I'm going to go ahead and open the progress bars because I didn't set it up for the dog. So for Cece, I believe all of her categories have been calibrated to her monthly amount, which is $250. So what I'm going to do is there's 2 different ways I can do this. I can either highlight them all and then click the underfunded button and it'll fund it from my ready to assign. Or I've always just typed it in. I just like a type, you know, call me crazy. I have Cece's pet insurance, so this is just, what is it? Comes out in August, so it's just building up for the next one. I don't necessarily know what the amount will be, but we'll hopefully have enough by the time August rolls around, because it does increase a little bit each year, but it shouldn't be significant, because we already have 173 in here, so we should be fine by August. Groom, she's kind of on a cycle of every 5 weeks she gets a full groom, and then 5 weeks after that she gets a bath, and then 5 weeks after that she gets a full groom again. So this kind of averages into that amount to work for that. For her food expenses, I don't really know how quickly she eats, but I will say Chewy, she gets the special food from Chewy, and she doesn't need to... Basically, they're very good at reminding you when it's going to come out and giving you the opportunity to push it back if you need to. So that's been fine. But I put in $40 a month into here. That way she has money for this when it comes out. And then for vet expenses, it's a sinking fund and it's going to be $90. You're asking yourself, why didn't I just add all these together? These categories have been really well calibrated, I guess. I'm like talking like it's a smart board. They've been really this has worked well for us, having these categories set up like this. So I didn't change it, and it's not coming from my money. Transparently, it's Nathan sending me the money, and it's working well for us, and it helps us see it together. So that's why it's staying like that. So across her 4 categories, we are at $798.36. She did have a big... She had her yearly expense, and that was really expensive in August or September. So we're kind of rebuilding from that again in the vet category specifically. But yeah, that's what's going on there. With the remaining $2,912.79, I'm going to just execute the plan. I need to do $1,000 into rent. I already have it for November just because I'm a little more ahead on November's rent. So we'll go into December and we'll put the $1,000 that we need there. And then with the $1,912.79 remaining, I'm going to do the $34.16. The $35 I need for the phone. $135 for subscriptions because we'll get into it instead of the $150. $400 into groceries. $445 into medical stuff. $175 into auto stuff. I don't know. It's just stuff, man. $75 into car insurance. $300 into fun and spending. this category can get hidden. I don't need this anymore. I've deleted and hid a lot of these categories that I had previously, which I guess I didn't mention. I kept this one just in case, like I'm not trying to be inconsistent, but I kind of just mean like when I have rollover, if I want to move some of this money into saving for this, I can. So that's where that's at. Moving on, I need to do the $100 for the emergency fund, the $230 for my student loans, and I have $17.79 remaining. Try to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, I have Canva. This is the last subscription that was going into subscriptions. It's on its own just because I think with YouTube I can what do you call it? Maybe expense it, but I don't know for sure. But to keep it separate and simple, that's why it's on its own category. So I have $4.80 remaining. So it's not a totally zero-based budget. I think technically I make a couple extra dollars than $34.50 in a month. So for this remaining $4.80, I think I'm just going to toss it into my student loans. So hopefully that made sense. Have you needed to make any changes in your budget lately? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. If you like this video, I'd love it if you'd like it. It helps out my channel. Subscribe, stick around, blah, 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 blah. Thanks for watching. Bye.